Hello there, once again,
Hey,
friends. How are you?
well, fine, and I'm better visible at the moment. I'm in a different part of my house, different computer, so
So, so which part of the house are you in? Because I can see it's very busy behind you once again.
well, I can show you
Yes.
where I was last week. It was over there,
Ah,
which
okay.
is my
That's your equipment.
back. No, well, I have two. This is my living room, and this is the only thing I have. I have a bedroom and a living room.
Oh, right.
Yeah, this is. I don't live any bigger. Oddly
Okay.
enough, somebody mentioned this week. It's called Faust, a DIY company said. Um, if you're doing this for 1,400 issues of Vital Weekly, and you do, 15 a week, that's over 20,000 releases. I'm sure you don't have them all. I'm like, no, no, I don't have all of these.
I remember
I
asking you a similar question a few years ago.
no,
I said, "Do you keep everything?" And you said, "No." Well, the same as me. It's just impossible. So you just
yes.
don't have the room for this.
Well, that's one thing, but also I don't have the time to return to it.
Yeah,
Suppose,
yeah.
if I had three wishes in life, I would say I rather have all the records back I had from 1987 to 1980, well, 1990. All the cassettes, all the records, and you have them all again. So, oh yeah, I had this record, I had this record. But the records that are released in the last 25 years, I can find them online. I can download them. Some I have. It's not something I would want to revisit again. A lot of them,
Right.
I would. So there would be surprise release in there where you think, oh yeah, that was a good one. But a lot, no. The early ones from my late teen years. I was like, oh yeah, those I want to hear again. I have diaries where I noted every record or cassette that I got, sometimes with a
Did you?
comment saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I bought New Order Ceremony and I wrote Ceremony OK in a Lonely Place. Great song.
But that's
So,
true. It still holds up.
actually, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great song. So yeah, so you're a little anal, we could say, with your little collection. Well, not a little collection, but your collection, your collecting habits at the time, keeping notes of everything. Um,
Yes.
but a point you just made was the fact that I know we need to talk about books. We'll get on track in a minute, but
Mm,
something you just said was about the amount of time, and we established in our first conversation that we're both the same age. And
mm,
this is one of the factors that governs my deci- decisions to keep or not keep things that are sent to me. I still get quite a number of things sent to me, but I
mm.
feel like time is running out. I feel like, I'm not going to, I don't even have time to listen to some of my favorite ever records, from probably from the early 80s, to be honest, in my case, as
Mm.
well as some later ones as well, of course. Um, so there's always part of me thinking, when will I have time to return to some of that stuff when I'm so busy listening to new stuff? And I love receiving new stuff. Obviously, you've got the same passion, and it, but again, it's time, it's space, it's all of these factors. So I do understand, why you cannot keep everything. Um, Obviously, you get sent lots of things in because of Vital Weekly, which is your
Mm.
weekly
Yeah.
publication. We spoke about the book that was dedicated to the early issues of Vital Weekly that you published.
No, 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 no. Oh, no, no. That was Vital, the fanzine.
Oh,
There's
Vital
nothing.
Fanzine. Sorry. Yeah,
There's
yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
precursor. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. So then it became Vital Weekly, which is the
Mhm.
online reviews
Yeah.
resource. It doesn't really go beyond that, does it? It's just maybe early editions had some interviews, or
No,
did they? No. So
no,
it's just
no.
reviews.
Just
So,
reviews. Yeah.
so you receive stuff for that every day, probably.
Almost. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my
And
god.
yeah, and I try to keep up. It's not always possible. Just this week, for a long, long time, I I thought, oh, my desk is empty. I can hear other music. I do, and because I'm very busy with new book material, like corrections and stuff. I could play music, and that was for the first time in quite some time. Yeah.
Oh, right.
But yeah, so yeah, every day, almost every day, about 15 a week.
So how do
Times.
you maintain your enthusiasm? Because I find it quite hard going sometimes. You know, oh,
uh,
another electroacoustic album, you know, or
well,
how do you
make
feel?
well, yeah, I sometimes approach it as work. You don't always like work,
So you
music.
consider it to be work?
Well, it's the only thing I do during the day.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
very strict in these sort of things in my division of my working hours. I get up in the morning, I read the newspaper, drink coffee, start to work, and then during the day I listen to music to write about.
Right.
Um, then I'll eat, then I'll do 2 hours of work on books, or I do music, my own music, and then it's about 8:30. I will relax, because I don't go to bed very late. I get
Mm.
up also very early. I watch a movie. I gave up watching TV series in the evening.
You gave
Um,
up on TV series.
yes, for the
No.
simple reason you keep hanging on. Oh yeah, I can do another episode. I can do another. Oh yeah. Oh
Oh
fuck,
yeah,
it's
like
another.
binge watching. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I rather watch a movie, and that'll be it. And then I'll
Uh,
read a little bit, and then I go to sleep. Yeah.
okay. So
So it's because it's work. I said work is something you don't always like, but it's something you have to do. If I would say for a week, yeah, fuck it, I'm not doing Vital Weekly this week. Mail will come in, and there will be a huge pile of stuff.
yeah,
And sometimes,
yeah.
and also because I get a lot of stuff, I can listen to something and think this is not the day to do this. Put it aside, take something else, and eventually I have to I'll get to this thing, but then I'm in a different mood. Maybe it's way more easy for me to do it that day.
Oh,
And
right.
so it's also, yeah, if something is very improvised or too difficult for me to go, oh yeah, okay, not today. Tomorrow, oh yeah,
Maybe you'll be in the
I
mood
can do
for
it,
it.
and I'll be more in the mood for it,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
less mood, or less
yeah.
moody.
So, yeah, so it's a very different way to my approach. But I don't write about music. Well, I do write about music every day, or most days anyway. But I certainly don't have this. I don't feel this obligation. If I've got a pile of review material at the moment, but I just sometimes it can sit there for 2 or 3 months, and I just wait until I've got the inclination.
Well,
So,
what do you do? What do you do afterwards with your material? You sell it if you're
yeah,
done with.
exactly that. Yeah, I've got a contact in England, a friend of mine who
Mhm,
buys and sells records. He's got all kinds, not just
mhm.
weird experimental obscure releases. He's a buyer and seller, and he will take um, every so often, maybe 3, 4 times a year, I'll send him a huge box of vinyl and CDs, and I get some cash, which I usually then turn into books, because books are my biggest passion at the moment, and also a few records as well. I've always, every month I buy a few records and CDs. I've probably got 3 or 4 tabs open on my computer at the moment with things I'm checking out. Richard Barbieri, for example, there are 2 tabs of his music or his releases open on my computer at the moment. I finally checked out some of his stuff, and I thought, oh, I've got to have something. So I have this terrible compulsion, but I also do go through my record collection as well. And so when I sell stuff, it's not only I do keep things that are sent to me to review as well. I'm sure
Mhm.
you do, but I have to be
Yeah,
very
yeah.
discerning. There's loads of good stuff I don't really want to say goodbye to, but I just think I'm never going to have the chance again to listen to this.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the same for me. I sell directly, but this is how I make my income. This is not a very expensive place where I live,
Mm-hmm.
so and like I always say, I don't have a drug habit. I don't have to pay for my daughter. I don't have to pay for my ex-wife. I don't have a car. I don't have animals. I don't have plants.
All
I like
right.
I like to eat. I like to eat. So I'm pretty well off being living quite cheaply. So
Okay. You're
um,
frugal.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and um, what was I going to say? So yeah, I sell my stuff, and that's where I make my living. Plus, whatever income I make from Bandcamp and
Right.
from the books, from concerts these days are very sparse, but I don't mind.
Mm,
But also concerts is a thing. Yeah, so
okay.
I since I left Starplat 20 years ago, the first year I was jobless, and then I decided I'm doing this for myself.
Mm,
I did a label for until 2015, and I always had an income out of it, except for the times that people ask me to do a job for them. I've been a babysitter for a while, for three boys.
really?
Yes, yeah, changing nappies and stuff and playing and stuff.
Well, how did you find that? I mean, I don't.
Friends asked me. Well, friends asked me and said, "Well, you work from home. You are, we get a flexible during your working hours. Do you want to do this? Or you like one day a week because it was one week was on a Tuesday and one week was on a Wednesday, and then so it was very hard for them to find somebody who could be that flexible. And I could. So
Okay.
there was a job that I had, but well, the oldest one was already 18, so it's a bit long time ago.
Mm.
And I was buddy for an old man with Alzheimer. Basically, I had to sit there for 4 hours. I was still a
You're just like a
smoker.
companion.
Yes, I
Okay.
was still a smoker. He was a smoker. He was also. They wanted somebody of my age. This was 10 years ago. Of my age, and could hold a conversation and would smoke. That was a man. Those were the requirements, and that paid for my rent every month.
Oh,
Which was
okay.
it was a really well paid job. And I sat there, would drink coffee and tea, watch TV and talk, and he would, because he had Alzheimer, tell the same thing over and over.
Mm,
I
right.
did I didn't mind. So like, oh
No,
yeah,
no,
so
no. No, it's
go ahead.
noble work, I think. So,
Yeah,
you know,
but without any training, I'd be like, and then I was gone. And
uh,
since then, this guy, he died a few years ago. Well, no, 10 years ago.
mm.
And since then, I didn't have any babysitting or caring jobs anymore. So just this.
And you didn't want to
And
pursue that. You didn't think, oh, maybe I've got an inclination
no,
for changing nappies. So,
well,
no.
no, I was experienced with my daughter, so and her sister. So I knew how to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
How
that's the
to
thing. Yeah.
eat up the milk and stuff.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So it's hard work though. I've got a 2-year-old daughter again. My restart family. So your reaction is the same reaction that most people have, but I love it because I'm at a point in my life where I've got more time. And I know who I am more or less. So I'm more comfortable with who I am. So it's good.
Now, oddly
Yeah.
enough, I find myself in a point in my life I find that I have less time. That I'm like, oh yeah, I have to do more. I want to do this. I want to do that. Like there's a whole list of book plans that I have, but I don't get around organizing them. Like
No. Okay.
doing. So yeah, that's a thing. Yeah.
Well, you keep yourself busy, and I think that's a good thing. And I've got a couple of questions bubbling away that
Mhm.
relate to things you just said as well. Maybe the first question I have would relate to the music. You've just described how your day is and the fact that you listen to lots of music. You also said that you try to dedicate 2 hours in the afternoon to writing to your book work, your
Mhm.
work on your books. Do you listen to music while you're doing that as well? Because some people don't.
Yeah. Yeah, oddly enough, because the book I'm writing at the moment is about Ron Lessard, RR Records, Emile
Oh
Bullier,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I had 8 conversations. And what I would do is I would record those, and so I would have this on my laptop, and I would listen to it and work out a little bit. Also, this week I tried something just for to see how it works. I found this online speech to text thing, dictation, where you could upload your sound file, and it
Yeah.
would give you your written document.
Oh
And
yes, yeah. My wife showed
okay,
me this.
and it was interesting. For various reasons, it was interesting. I won't tell you about. And that was the first time I could actually play music and type out what I was thinking about the book. So yeah, I can do that. What I can't do is I can't play music for Vital Weekly and then in the meantime think about, oh yeah, what did Ron say? Or go
Of
back to
course.
all of the words that I already have that needs to be editing or that needs to be edited
So you
or
need to
whatever.
focus on.
That's a different kind of focus. But
Yeah, yeah,
listening to music, I can also read when I listen to music. Not necessarily. I don't read complicated books or anything like that. But I can read something, listen to music, and then I don't read for a while. I listen more, and okay. And by the time I know what this is about, and this can be maybe the first time I hear something, but also maybe it takes four times. And at one point, I will think, oh yeah, I know now. I know what I can write. And sometimes there's yesterday I got this CD
mm,
from Het Zweet, Dutch
right.
and they had a record on Dossier in the 80s, or
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that.
he had a record, and there's so much I know about this guy that I can write a whole half the reviews already written before I even start playing this CD.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
of
there's something
course.
else where I have no clue what this person is, and then I can decide, do I look it up first or just let it play? And there's a lot of these sort of things I can consider before I write a review. Do I
Yeah,
read the press text or not? Do I go online and look for something, or just play the music for a while and then
yeah.
think,
So that's similar to me. Yeah, I mean, we do live in an age where there's lots of references and information available at our fingertips about any given release or artist. But I do prefer to go into a release blind, and listen to the music and not, where it's possible, not know. I don't read the press releases usually. If any
okay,
release, yeah, I tend to try and just approach it with my own mind as much as possible. But the temptation to check things out sometimes is also there. So I do
but if you
understand
but
that.
if you hear something and you have no clue what you've just heard, then you will surely read it, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
Who is this
try.
guy? Who is
Yeah,
this
yeah.
part? Oh,
Of course, I might do a little background information, dig up some background information, but I try to listen to the music blind without those reference points when it's something completely new to me. So obviously there are
yeah.
many exceptions to that. So, um, so it's really a case of fresh ears, for me with a lot of music I get sent. But yeah, music listening and writing at the same time, or reading. I know many people who do not do this or cannot do this. So um, for me, that there's a certain sense to having. I love music in the background when I'm working. Obviously I can't do it when I'm teaching English, but but I do it when I'm proofreading and working on my books. In fact, when I'm working on books, I probably have music that's relevant. And that's another question for you as well. Do you listen to music? I think you've kind of answered that with the book you're working on with Ron.
Hmm.
Are you listening to music that's related to the material at hand? Because that's generally what I do. Although Ron, RR Records, there's
I
a
don't.
lot of yeah.
I don't play all of the Emil stuff. I must
No,
admit.
no. Well,
But I must say he mentions, of course, a lot of things that I, well, either heard in the past or that I heard of, and I will go back
you'll go and check
online
it
and
out.
and check it out. And I thought, oh yeah, what was this Catharsis or Algebra Suicide or Cyclones? What were these bands about? And it's because it's so far away in my mind. Like, oh yeah, yeah. And then I hear it, and then oh yeah, this was good or not good. And sometimes he mentions stuff about people that I never heard of, and also check that out.
Mhm.
He had a record by a guy called Barry DeLeaf in
Oh yeah,
2007
yeah,
or 8.
yeah, yeah. That's right.
I never heard of the guy, never heard the record, and I found it online and heard it, and I thought, oh, this is quite interesting. Yeah,
Okay.
so I learned and when I did the punk book, this one,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
this is has a lot of the early punk stuff that I had
yeah.
or
That's.
have some of this I still have,
Oh, do
and
you? Well, like Panic and the Rondos and
yeah,
stuff
well,
like
not
that.
not Panic, not Panic, but Rondos I still had, yeah, and
Ah, okay,
played a lot of the music that is covered in this book when we were working on it. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Did you enjoy
So
it? Did you enjoy
yes,
revisiting?
yeah. I like the second wave punk music. X and Rondos uh, are still very much my personal favorites. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. The
yeah.
X are amazing. Anyway, I think I've got a couple of later albums, but I've got the first two as well. The first two are
Hmm.
absolutely incredible, and they stand up.
I I used to have everything up until 85, I think.
Okay.
All of the early 7 inches, and I sold, over the years I sold some of those because people would find out, oh, you have that first X 7 inch, I'm willing to pay you €100 for it, and so yeah, okay,
Yeah, give me
and
the
and,
€100.
and and there's a great compilation CD where they collect all of these 7 inches from the past,
Mhm.
and I'm sorry to say, but I'm a CD guy, so I like CDs. And
Okay.
I'm happy to pay €20 for a CD if I can sell €500 worth of records.
Absolutely. So you're
Yeah.
not a collector as such, like
No,
a record collector. No. Okay.
no. I always say there's a few people I have quite a few records of. The Osmo's Teachings, I know you don't like him or not care too much about him. I have a lot
Oh well,
about a lot of,
Asthma's Teachings. Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Oh,
I like him.
okay.
So, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was listening to one of his albums, more recent albums, the one on or one of his records or CDs rather on Black Rose Recordings a few days
Oh, yeah.
ago. Very interesting. No, and I saw him live in Wrocław several years ago. Yeah,
Okay. No,
yeah.
so I have let me see. I have quite a few Organen, David Jackman,
Oh yeah, brilliant stuff.
and and The Illusion of Safety.
Oh
Also
yeah,
quite a
yeah.
big
Okay,
collection there.
okay.
Uh, but otherwise, mm, Maine, Robert
Main.
Hansen.
Yeah,
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 big
yeah,
fan of that.
yeah. I've
So
still got all the main stuff. Yeah.
must be a few other stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of collecting, if Illusion Safety would release a super rare, 25 edition late cut album for cost €100, I won't buy it. I would
Right.
just ask him to send me the music. And
Yeah.
then I will say to him, I'm happy to write about it if you send me the music for free. So,
Okay. Yeah,
but I
yeah,
won't
yeah.
I won't buy records. No.
No, okay. That's so very different to me. So, obviously, I've just been alerted to the fact we've only got a limited time left. Oh dear.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So we should at least talk about a couple of books. You just started talking about this one.
Yeah, this is the translation of this book. Um,
Ah, okay. And this is fantastic as well.
yeah,
Very
well,
insightful.
this is my personal copy, which
Uh,
is uh, which is which is all gone because I had it scanned
mm.
and reprinted. I don't think I gave you a copy of this because it's all Dutch.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's no
And
point.
that's a copy.
My Dutch is limited to
Uh,
probably one word, and
so
that's double.
this all came from a question from Steve Underwood. He said, "Why is there no English book about Dutch punk?" And I thought
Ah,
that's a good question. And I asked a few people, and they all said, "Yeah, there's no English book about Dutch punk," which is odd because all of these 7 inches go for a lot of money in America. So
mm.
maybe they want to know more about this sort of punk thing. And this book is from 1996. or
Mhm.
7, 26, I think. And
Yeah, mid-90s, yeah.
we translated it into English and expanded a bit as more. Well, it has full color images, which is looks way better,
Mhm.
and it has a discography with a lot of images and the whole few pages on fanzines.
Yeah, that's right.
Um,
It's a
and
really good book, really
yes,
well done.
I'm very
So,
happy with it. It's
yeah,
also best sold book at the moment still.
well, that's something I wanted to ask. I can imagine that was a good seller. I
Mhm.
I imagine this is another one I wanted to talk about, but this is all in Dutch. So
Yeah, well, that one is an offshoot of this one.
okay, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, it looks lovely. But,
I was talking to a guy in Den Haag, and and that's another offshoot, really weird combination. So this guy in Den Haag is the guy who did this book. He is
yeah, yeah,
Anthony Blokdijk,
yeah. Oh, so
and
that's him, right? Okay.
yeah, and in talking to him, I learned that he also wrote for this fanzine. And
Mm.
I said, well, I have this fanzine. I'm a big fan of this thing. And I approached this person, say, hey, can I put this in a book and do a CD of the only cassette that they ever did? And Tony or Anthony, I like to be called. He
Yes.
said, I have a private book, this one, which
Mm.
is sort of print on demand. And he said, well, I'm really anxious that if it sells a lot of copies, I can't handle a lot of this selling copies. And how many you think is many? And, well, maybe 40 or 50. And I said, well, no, if it's Coil, you can maybe sell 300, 400, 500,
Yeah,
600,
yeah,
maybe 1,000.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. And so I proposed, and we'll do this version, have an intro by Nick Soulsby, who wrote a
Yeah,
Coil
that's
book,
really good. Yeah, yeah.
and uh, and we'll just have it available through me, and I will sell it for you. And this sold about 300 copies at the moment. Yeah,
I was going to
which
say
is
it must be
actually
a. Is it one of your best sellers as well? Or
no. The best, the top three at the moment is the punk book, then my book, the this is supposed to be a record label,
oh
and
yeah, yeah.
Frake's book about legendary pink dots.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah. I finished reading that 2 weeks ago, so that's this one.
yeah.
Yeah, really nice as well. Very. What? Why does it stop at 1989 though? Because does.
Frake thinks he has not the expertise to talk beyond because he's not the biggest fan of what the Pink Dots did after that. He likes some
Oh,
of the stuff and some of the stuff he doesn't like. And for him, that was the sort of natural ending of that period. And also because the Pink Dots started living in the Netherlands around about that time, so in the end of the book. For him, it's like the natural end of that whole
okay,
band
yeah,
period. The
okay,
first band period, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So a lot of people ask me, so why doesn't he write, the next 10 years and the next 10 years and the next 10 years? And by the time he's done, the Pink Dots will exist for 50 years. And then why not cover, the fifth decade? But
yeah, yeah.
but
Well, yeah.
it will happen.
I thought that
Uh,
might be the case. That his interest only went as far as the end of the 80s. But it's a really nice book, beautifully put together and designed, and very informative as well. I like the lots of
Oh,
photos.
you're a
Yeah,
fan, right?
well, yeah, I am. I can't. They're one of those groups, the legendary Pink Dots, that you just cannot keep up with. So I couldn't. I've got a lot of their albums, but I've probably got a fraction of the amount they've released. So they've put out a lot of stuff, and Edward,
Yes.
and
Yeah, yeah.
side projects and everything else. So I probably have about 25% of their releases, or 30 maybe.
Me
So
too. I don't have everything. No.
no, but it's always interesting. And I love Edward as well. I think he's a really nice guy, and for me, that's always part of the story. If
Did you hear the CD that I did with Edward and Peter Johan Nijland recently? Earlier this year was released by Klankgalerie in Austria. It's
no,
called
no,
Dynasty. It's Peter Johan Nijland is the guy from Trepaneringsritualen,
oh, okay,
the Swedish Dutch band, and And he's from Nijmegen as well, so he and I work together and send stuff to Edward, and he mailed the stuff back, and it's a really nice CD. Yeah.
That sounds interesting. I think I'll have a chance to get a copy of that in 3 weeks' time. There's the Wrocław Industrial Festival, which I'm going to, and I think Clan Gallery always have a stall there, so
Yes.
hopefully I'll have a chance to pick up a copy. So that sounds
It's a
interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's another question. Going away from books, again, we're going to do a third instalment of these
Yeah.
because we're only kind of touching on certain things. You know, we're not going very deep into these things either. I don't think we'll be able to. But to be honest, do you miss doing the label? I know you stopped doing it in 2015. Do you? I know you've
No.
done some. No. Okay.
Well, the thing is, I did this release,
Yeah.
and that's going to be.
Oh yeah. That's lovely. Yeah. That is
And
really
it's going to be,
nice.
and I will release another CD very soon by Illusion of Safety. I found an old demo and I sent it back to Dan Burke, and he polished it up and said, what do you want to do with it? And I thought, we'll press 2 on CDs and we'll see what happens.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm back as a label. Don't send me any demos.
Yeah.
And of course, my books have CDs. I'm continuously pressing.
I
CDs.
know. Yeah.
But
So,
no, I'm not. I don't want to be a label ever again.
oh, so okay, all right. Well, part of me understands that, of course, but it's in my DNA, so I have to keep doing it for better or for worse. But I realise we have got less than a minute left. And
Yes.
It's been a real pleasure talking to you once again. Again, we're only touching on the surface with your books. We've covered, 2 or 3 more. I'll put links in below again, and Frans will do a third chat that I hope will just bring some more attention, to what you're doing. You're doing great work, and I'm a big supporter. I know you send me freebies, but I would buy them anyway if you didn't. But I hope this helps.
Now you say.
Yeah. So, it works both ways. I always send you stuff as well. So thank you very much, friends. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll have a chat again in the